Hey folks, Kilt-Man here, Kilt-Man at your services. How are you all? Hope you're all doing very, very well. And I hope you're all human. I know I'm human. And if you're all just these things, you just attack me right now, so some of you are still human. This thing doesn't want to show itself. It wants to hide inside an imitation. It'll fight if it has to, but it's vulnerable in the open. Hey, it's John Carpenter news. There's always John Carpenter news. I mean, and he's got another album coming out, Anthology 2 is coming out. I've discussed it already. He's attached to various projects, comic books, video games. He's always doing stuff. And, you know, he's directing again, or rather, he has directed again. I've already talked about this. This is a TV show called Suburban Screams. And it's going to be airing from October the 13th on Peacock. And it's a 6-episode series of true crime dramas with very, very horrific overtones. We'll talk more about that. And he's lent his name to this project. I'm not sure if he's overseeing the entire thing, but we know out of the 6 episodes, he's directed one. He directed one. And these are all filmed in Prague. Not in the great big Barandov studios where they filmed so many great movies. Hollywood uses it a lot. They're filmed on location in obviously little suburbs and little hamlets and towns, because all of these stories seem to be set in cozy suburbia. But underneath that quaint, happy smiley faced, veneer of nice neighbourhood, there's evil deeds aplenty. Horrible, horrible deeds being enacted on innocent people. And this series then tells these real life stories, given a spin, a more horrific sort of spin, I imagine. But the survivors, the victims who've been through it, are there. They tell the story. And then there's various filmic elements which have been put in there to try and reenact the events and dramatise it. Now Carpenter, Big John, directs one episode, just one of the 6, and he directed it from his couch at home over Zoom. Now I did talk about this, and I did say, John, you lazy bastard, you, and I mean it as well. Now the other directors, I don't know if it's a director for each, so there's like 6 different directors, or whether someone's done more than one episode. I don't know, but I'm pretty certain that they were probably out there directing where you just sat on your arse in between playing video games and having 15 bifters in your mouth and did it over Zoom. Look, I can skit him because I love him, but I think it's a lazy cop-out of a way of dealing with a great directorial venture. When everyone wants you to come back and get behind the camera and shout the orders, and all that sort of stuff. Orchestrate the action on screen. Be there. You can't do that from several thousand miles away. Don't piss on my back and tell me it's raining. You can't do it that way. Now, having just said all that, invented all that, if all the directors were doing it remotely and it was a kind of project, an experiment in can we do this, then okay, then I'll take that back. But I've got a really hulking suspicion that he alone just didn't bother going out there. So anyway, we have all the blairbage because the trailer for it dropped. It dropped yesterday. Now I'm not going to sit and react to it because I've already seen it about 3 or 4 times, and I can't be arsed doing the little picture-in-picture and all that shit. I'll just put a link to the trailer. It will not wow you at all. It just shows an overview of a neighbourhood and certain characters, and there's always a house in the neighbourhood where when you're riding past on your bike, you pedal a bit faster. It's all very Stephen King sort of stuff. But as I say, these are real life tales of terror. But I'll read you what they've said about it. Let's see, who said this? Oh, it's unscripted as well, which I know a lot of people have gone like, what? It's unscripted. So it's improv. Is that what it is? I don't know. they probably have an overview of what the scene is meant to be. Because when I read this out to you, it'll become clear that everything's going to become very crystal clear in a moment. You're going to have the real people talking about the events. You're going to have historical documents and maybe evidence being thrown at the screen. And then you're going to have these sort of cinematic recreations. Now, those recreations, I would have thought, would have to be scripted, directed, choreographed. Whereas the people who are sitting there documentary style, telling you their information, that will be unscripted. And that kind of makes sense. You don't want them reading out the events just verbatim from their testimony in court. No, just sit there and tell it in real time, real interview time. What happened to you? That's always more effective. Let's read it anyway. Right. The unscripted series premieres October 13 on Peacock and stems from the mind of legendary horror director, writer and producer John Carpenter. The series is described as, and now it's a genuine quote, I'm not sure who said it though, it isn't John, a genre-busting unscripted horror anthology series from the mind of legendary director, writer and producer John Carpenter. We've just been down that road, haven't we? The series explores the dark secrets and unspeakable evil that sometimes lurks beneath the surface of the sun-drenched streets, manicured lawns and friendly neighbours of suburbia. Each episode focuses on one true tale of terror, told by the real people who lived through it. Their first-hand accounts are brought to life through premium cinematic scene work. What's that? Premium cinematic scene work? Movies? News clips, home photos and archival footage, combining the visual language of horror films with the tools and techniques of documentaries, creating a uniquely frightening experience for viewers. Yeah, I can buy into that. Each episode will delve into the monstrous evil that lurks beneath the surface of friendly suburbia through the lens of one frightful tale. In addition to first-hand accounts, the episodes will include cinematic reenactments, personal archives and historic town press coverage. The horror master directs one episode in a 6-episode series alongside showrunner Jordan Roberts, Michelle Latimer and is it Jan or is it Jan? Given the surname of Pavlaki, I'm going to go with Jan Pavlaki. Carpenter also composes the series theme music. That does not mean that he's composing the music for all episodes and all the intermediary music that you hear in each episode. Then it goes on to like a lot of other just blabbage about the production companies and that but so documentaries. Now you've got this thing about documentaries since TV began. You've had documentaries where you film the location, you interview the people involved from whatever it could be. It could be a disaster, it could be there's buildings falling down, there's urban strife, whatever it is, and they film it. They have journalists and interviewers who you don't regularly see them on camera in documentaries, but you have the people involved sitting there in this room, intercut with footage of the events that took place, and they will tell their story. And then you get other people as well, and you get multiple viewpoints, from this sort of thing, from different sides of the spectrum. Documentaries. Films, movies then took on a documentary style because documentaries became hugely popular, especially true crime stuff, because people are always fascinated by it. Unbelievably, the amount of women that love true crime documentaries and dramas is off the scale. And women always love bad boys, don't they? Well, they do. For some reason, they're attracted to people who are going to slap them around, beat them up, commit horrible deeds upon their body and persecute them with paranoia and all sorts of persecution. So women seem to love this sort of thing. So that's your big market. And of course, women massively love horror movies. So this is going to, I think the massive market for this is going to be, yeah, you guessed it, women. And but it's funny how movies took on a documentary style in some cases. Think of Seven, think of Zodiac, David Fincher on both of those counts. But many other movies have this sort of, the way that the police procedural takes effect. And you had police procedurals back in the 60s and the 70s with great, huge, great examples. And it works so well, showing the mundanity of an investigation. And now you've got it's gone full circle now. So you had documentaries, then films that took on a documentary sort of style, verite style, to depict the events and show you the insides and of how an investigation takes place. And now you've got TV shows which, again, take in the movie elements, but because it's a drama, it's a televised drama, but they have it in the documentary realistic style of police investigations, and they are 10 a penny. So how many real life crime dramas have you seen on TV? Well, I say, have you seen? I don't bother watching them anymore because there's that many of them. Although there is one coming up on UK TV very soon on ITV, I think, called The Long Shadow, which is about the Yorkshire Ripper. Now there's been documentaries and there's been TV dramatisations of some of Peter Sutcliffe's horrific reign of terror. But this looks like it's going to go a little bit further, and it's got local lad David Morrissey's in there. David Morrissey, the governor from Walking Dead, he's in there. He's great. I've met him a couple of times. Great lad. Cheers, y'all. But it's going to show, I'm using this for the sake of example, it's going to show the police investigation, but it'll probably have dramatic recreations of some of the murders or the lead up to some of the many murders and what happened, because there are witnesses and there are people who survived these attacks. So you take that element, and that's clearly what you're going to get here. I'm not sure how long each episode is, but the very fact that they said, although it's a really weird way of saying it, their first-hand accounts, the real-life people, their first-hand accounts are brought to life through premium cinematic scene work. That sounds complete bullshit to me. Through premium cinematic scene work. Yeah, you're just going to recreate what happened. Oh yeah, he trapped me in the basement and he came at me with a claw hammer. And then I found, as I fought my way off him, I discovered the other bodies of his former, reign of terror. It's going to be just bits like that, but you're going to have the real person describing what happened, and then you're going to have a visual sort of representation of it. Could be great. It could be great. They definitely are pushing the horror spin on this. So these stories, and I don't know what any of them are. I've not seen any episode titles. I've not seen anyone on the cast list. You don't know. And the trailer doesn't give much away other than, there's some nastiness in there quite clearly. And people are definitely in jeopardy. And obviously people will be killed. And these are, as I say, the emphasis is on horror, which is why they're really pushing the whole John Carpenter thing. Now, Carpenter is a mini empire in his own right. The music side, the comic book side, because he lends his name to a whole series of comic books, all like anthologies and all, again, like this is an anthology, all different stories, but his name is huge there. He didn't write these, he's lent his name to these. And he probably does like an intro. I haven't got them. They're very expensive, some of these books. Very expensive indeed. I think they've been limited runs. And but of course, he heavily invested in video games as well. And he's got his musical career. So, and everyone's saying, oh, you're going to come back to the director's chair. Well, yeah, so long as his director's chair is his fucking couch, then he's happy, yeah. I don't know. This could be great. I do think, John, you let the side down there. Look, you're not that old. Compared to the likes of Ridley Scott, you ain't that old, mate. And Ridley's globe-trotting. God, Gladiator 2. It makes my tattoo itch, the very thought of Gladiator 2. Dear God. But I'm sure I'm going to report on that extensively, because it's one of my favourite movies. As you guys know, I have props and costumes aplenty from the original Gladiator. And anyway, that's beside the point. But Ridley's out there doing the job, working. He's on set, he's on location, he's shouting the orders, he's saying action, he's saying cut, he's doing all those things. I don't see how you can really effectively do that, sitting on your couch and looking over a monitor through the haze of fucking smoke from all the ciggies you've just been chewing on. I don't get that at all. I think that's a bit of a cop-out. But as I said earlier, if they're all doing it that way, and it is an experiment in making TV, or, you know, can you make movies? Can you direct something from thousands of miles away? Then okay. And of course, the proof's in the pudding. So if it looks and sounds and you get a good vibe from it, it's great stuff, then obviously it'll work. John Carpenter's last directorial venture was The Ward in 2010. Not his original material, he didn't write this. Amber Heard starred in it. And it's one of those films where, I've talked about this a bit, I've never reviewed it. Well, I reviewed it for AV Forums on the site. I've not done it like this on the channel. And I'm not likely to either, for that matter. But I quite enjoyed it. I really did enjoy it. Although in the opening sequence, I knew exactly how it was going to end. Because it's one of those films, if you're invested in horror and you know the tropes of these sorts of twist in the tail sort of stories, and I'm saying that in case you haven't seen it, but you know exactly what's going to happen. Also things like Identity with, what's his name? Oh, from Goodfellas and No Escape. Pockmarked, great actor. Forgot his name now. He's dead. He died, sadly, all too young. And but I knew exactly where that was going. Certain movies, if they're psychological, you know exactly what Scorsese's one. Oh God, Sit on the Island with DiCaprio. And was it Ruffalo? Was it Mark Ruffalo in that as well? I forgot. Again, I forgot what it was called. You see, folks, you're seeing me destroy my brain on a video by video basis. You don't know how much I drink in between the videos. Shutter Island, that's it, Shutter Island. You'd have to be an idiot not to have worked out what that was going to be. And even things like The Sixth Sense, the prologue, oh, he got shot. I said to everybody, well, I didn't shout out to him, I just went to the wife, said like, he's dead there, it's going to be a ghost. And then every single scene that you see with Bruce Willis in The Sixth Sense, I know I've gone on a tangent here, but I always do that. But it's all relevant in the end. I'll come back to my original path. He's talking to everybody else, their breath is steam, you know, it's mist because it's gone cold, because he's not there, he's a ghost. It's obvious. And the only one who speaks back to him is the little lad who sees dead people. Because he sees him, he's dead. And I'm like, are you fucking blind? Are you people stupid? It's obvious. That does not mean that I don't enjoy these movies. I enjoy... Actually, Shutter Island I thought was an overblown piece of pseudo-gothic shite by a grand master of cinema as well, but I really thought it was awful. But I loved The Ward, even though I knew exactly what was coming. I loved Identity, and even though I knew exactly where that was going as well. And other films like that. But Amber Heard's very easy on the eyes. She certainly was back then. I know she's a bit of a nutcase now, but I still enjoyed it though. But prior to that, John Carpenter had done 2 episodes of, so he's done TV before, of the Masters of Horror series, where great legendary genre directors were brought in to direct really thought-provoking, visually disturbing, and taboo-breaking episodes. And he did 2. He did Pro-Life, and he did what's the other one? Cigarette Burns. And they're both brilliant, and they both really, it's John firing on quite a good battery of cylinders. You know, they're great episodes. The series itself, Masters of Horror, I didn't think really hit too many high points. There were other good elements to it, but, you know, and good episodes. But I think John's were the ones that I actually enjoyed the most. And it showed a lot of promise. This is the 90s, isn't it? And like way back then, you know, oh, John's going to come back, he's going to start directing again. No, he didn't. No, he disappeared under like a canopy of smoke and joysticks. John, you know, you've earned the right, mate. With so many classic cult hits behind you, you've earned the right to do whatever the bloody hell you want. I love you, and because I love you, that's why I get frustrated with certain decisions that you've made, like your backing of Blumhouse's Halloween trilogy. But I know you'll sell you'll sell both testicles just to make some moolah, you know, for some more video games, more ciggies. I'm looking forward to this, by the way. Suburban Screams. The poster for it, well, you see it in the thumbnail for this video. A cozy little neighbourhood. It looks like Neighbours, you know, all that, and Brookside, and you know all the soap operas set in like a little close, a little village, a hamlet, and it's got these houses neatly arranged and manicured lawns and picket fences, and this ghostly hand is like hugely superimposed with bloodlines climbing up into all of these different residences. I like it. In a way, it sounds very Stephen King, but Carpenter's explored this before. Halloween is exactly this. You know, what dark secrets lurk behind, you know, the facade of a lovely rural, well, suburban, you know, residential town. You know, because you've got the Myers backstory and all that, like, and you hear from the gravedigger when Dr. Loomis goes to find the grave of Judith Myers, Michael Myers' sister, and he's telling the gravedigger's telling the story about this other guy who went out to the tool shed, came back and basically killed his entire family. Well, you don't hear the story, but he's getting there. So you know that Carpenter's plumbing directly into these towns with dark secrets and that, like, which is, of course, is the nest, the den, the seedbed of literally everything that Stephen King has ever wrote. So it's huge, of course. And so it works. And the great thing about this is they're all true stories. So they may be stories, when the episodes come on, you may know what these stories are. But see, I mean, by the sound of this, they might not be. But you're gonna, whether you know them or you don't, you're gonna get a huge expose in a really vivid and visceral fashion. So, yeah. As I say, the unscripted thing, folks, I don't for one second think that the actual horror scenes are unscripted. It's not like you've unleashed the actors into a set, you know, a basement, an attic where they're about to be attacked. Of course you've given them a fucking script. That I'm not having that. What's unscripted is the interviews and the first person accounts from the people who were really there, because they may stutter, they may stammer, they may backtrack, but that's all part of, you know, real telling of the story. So, and I like that. That could be a great sort of juxtaposition. The real life account. That's weird though. You got the real people there, and then they must have to sign off on all this, obviously. So they must have seen all these episodes and like, this shit happened to me. People I know and loved died, I'm presuming, but I survived this ordeal. And, you know, so they got to sign off on this and say, well, yeah, but and they're depicting the events. So I presume they'd be acting as consultants as well. You know, he actually hit me 17 times, not just 3 times, you know. And I bit him. I bit his ear off, you know. Hopefully they've got proper creative input into this, because if you're going to submit to having a harrowing tale from your real life being told for everybody with a big name attached to it, so people are going to watch this, and you in your worst situation, you want that story being told, then I would want absolute creative. Look, no, this is what happened. I'm going to show you again, and you're going to get it. Oh, with the dramatic purposes. No. This is what happened, and I want you to show it the way it happened. I hope so, anyway. It could be good. Could this not be good? There's definite potential here. Cheers, y'all. I mean, there's been so many of this sort of thing done about Jack the Ripper. The one with Michael Caine as Inspector Frederick Aberline and Lewis Collins as his loyal sergeant, pursuing Jack the Ripper through Victorian London during 1989. It was 88. It was 88 because it was the centenary of Jack the Ripper's crimes, and it was broadcast on UK TV. It's become they made a movie out of it as well. Same thing, just put as the 2 parts put together as a movie. but it was famously shot with several different endings where different people, different suspects were actually the one who was the killer. So he filmed all these different endings, and no one knew, including the cast, which one was going to be the one that was broadcast. And it's good. And again, like I've been saying, it had elements of not so much documentarian style, but police procedural. There was a bit of Lewis Collins was involved with a bit of, in a local pub, bit of fisticuffs, and he was great. And you had you had loads of, like, who was it now? It was the guy that played Stallone's clone brother in Danny Cannon's take on Judge Dredd. It was him. Italian guy, can't remember his name now. And he was the psychic that was genuinely involved in the Jack the Ripper investigation, because he's also in the film Murder by Decree, and it's Donald Sutherland that plays him in Murder by Decree, which is fucking awesome. James Mason and Christopher Plummer. Wow, that film is fabulous. And there's elements of police procedural, but it's more of a Sherlock Holmes meets Jack the Ripper story, which is, of course, is great, and it's been done in various other mediums as well. But the TV version with Michael Caine and Lewis Collins had this other guy, and I can't remember his name now. So it did bring in the eeriness of all of that as well. So it wasn't quite as documentary style. But as I say, these sort of things have happened, since the dawn of TV. You've had documentaries. The first things on TV were documentaries, and then straight away you thought, oh, we could do that. We could do comedies. We could do drama, and bingo, TV began. And now you have. Let's face it. You've got this sort of thing also seems very directly influenced by American Horror Story. Of course, the first season of American Horror Story, which I think is the best, by the way. In fact, I gave up on American Horror Story. I got really bored with it, the whole thing. I know they take the different environments and all that, but the first one is this. It's a suburban area which is haunted and has other events taking place within it. It's all fake, it's not real, it's real, but it has that sort of realistic quality to it, and it's set in the 80s as well. So I don't know when some of these tales take place, but I presume there could be all sorts of time periods, 60s, 70s to today. I don't know. So October 13th, anyway, Suburban Screams will come out, headed up by John Carpenter, and he does the main theme, as I said before, which could be great. If he does the main theme, he's doing the end theme as well, the end credits as well. One would have thought. But whether he's doing the music in between, I don't know. Carpenter's great for doing the little bridges and stingers. He loves doing that sort of stuff with scene transitions and just build up. Only maybe 30 seconds to maybe a minute in length. But he can do those sort of suspenseful, synthesized beats of atmosphere. So, folks, there you go. There's nothing else I don't think I can say. No, just checking my little notages. And now a bit more of the whiskage. And now I'll bid you good day. So, in the meantime, and as ever, we all love John Carpenter in between time, but hey, John, you lazy bastard. Laziness, not just lazy. It is. And if it turns out that his episode's the worst one of the bunch, I don't know. I hope it's great. I really do. It's a different style for him, let's be honest. He's dabbled in TV before, but this is a multimedia sort of thing, isn't it? You've got to have people being interviewed. Is he directing those bits as well? Is he interviewing them? Does each director get the chance to interview the person? There's a thought. Because otherwise, then you've got an investigative journalist to do the interviews. A lot of times, like, you won't hear their voice, and I'll put money on this that unless it's Big John and the appropriate director interviewing these people, the real life people, You're not going to hear them speak. You're not going to see them on camera, because most of the time these things are done, it's just the person sitting there, and they're obviously, it's edited so that they're just answering the questions that you haven't heard the question, but they are answering, and it's them cut together in such a way it's like a seamless flow. So I would put money on that being the case, because John's not sitting there, is he? John's on his couch. You know, fucking his favourite game, Dead Space. He was meant to direct that. They were going to do a movie that way, and they wanted him to direct it, and that just fell through. Anyway, I'll have one final swig of this. Final, my arse. Although there won't be too many more after this. So please, folks, just have fun, be yourselves, be happy, say hello to people in the street, open doors for people. If they're struggling with their bags and you happen to be passing by, try and lift them up for them. Do something good for someone. Always, always do something good. I was in the pub yesterday and we were talking. I'm in the pub every day. And a couple of my mates were there. Mike Peake was there and his mate, Kevin. And we were sitting there. And we were saying, just like, they were saying, you're always upbeat about myself. You're always upbeat. You've always got a big smile on your face. I was there with the dog. And I am always upbeat. And, always led on to me, it's Kilt-Man. There's Roxy. And they'll come out to play with the dog and all that. And I'm like shooting the breeze with everybody. It's great. And I said, you're always like dead upbeat. That's what we were talking about this the other day. About like, you've got to open doors. I meant, that's exactly what I say to people. Hold the door open for someone. And okay, you get those ignorant swine that will just walk straight through and not even acknowledge it. And you've got to bite your tongue. You're the bigger person because you've opened the door for them. The height of indignancy, but hopefully it will drip feed into their brain and their emotions at some point, and they realise that someone did them a favour. And there's certain people who are alone in life. They just walk the streets. I'm painting a really horrible picture here. They go to shop to get their milk, their sugar, their bread, their dog food, and they pay their money and they go back home again. And that was the only time they got out the house that day. Now you imagine you're that person and no one around you even acknowledges your existence. Even the person behind, at the desk, at the cashier, in the shop, just takes the money, gives you your change, and that's it. And you've had no human interaction. Well, I always think of this. So when you're on the street and you go into shops or just anywhere, and there's just someone there, just what you gotta do? You all right? Morning. You okay? It's lovely, isn't it? You okay? You've got to stop and chat. That could be a nightmare. No, you let on to people and give them the time of day. And if they want to chat, and you genuinely see people, they can't believe it sometimes, and the smile that they get, first of all, it's kind of like a bit edgy, a bit, you talk, you're talking to me, but I'm Billy No Mates, I'm super lonely, everyone hates me, and you're talking to me. Travis Bickle there, and you go, yeah, you okay, yeah. It's lovely now, isn't it? Yeah, at least the rain's gone off. Just blah, blah, blah. All you've done is broken the ice, and then they will go home and they'll think, Christ, I'm phoning the police. That guy in a kilt's been harassing me. No, they go home happy, and it means a lot to them because you might be the only person that they've spoken to or has spoken to them that day. So it means a lot more to them. So do that. I don't preach all that often. Do I? Probably do. But just do that. Be nice to people. And if everyone did that a bit more, you'd find the world to be a nicer place. And I'm just saying that. It's true. And it kind of works out with this, Suburban Screams. Because obviously in these neighbourhoods, things weren't going quite so well. Anyway, Big John, I love you no matter what you do, and no matter how lazy your old bones are. I'll tell you what though, he's a good advert for smoking, isn't he? How many does he smoke? He's forever in a haze of smoke, and he's done it for all of his life. Chain smoking, and he's still around, you know. I don't smoke, but I do this stuff though. I hope I last as long as he does. Anyway, I have been over Shabby Kilt-Man, please. In the meantime, and it's ever, be nice to everybody, but enjoy true life horror shows in between time. Be happy, keep it kilted, keep it Celtic, and I'm going to see you all. This was Halloween 3. He didn't direct it, I know, but it's got his name all over it. It's his music, it's his style. The counteract, Dean Cundy. Oh, wouldn't it be great if this show had Dean Cundy doing the photography? Be gliding through, like, following people. Oh, it'd just be awesome. It won't be the case. Anyway, I'm out of here.